I tell you, a podcast I would like to listen to would be Jake Paul and Chael Sonnen.
Yes.
I think those two having a conversation would be fascinating because, you know, Chael's going to be able to dig a bit into his character because he's going to understand his character, and Chael's very good with words as well. He's very.
But they had to be honest as well.
His trash talking, yeah, of course, yeah. But I think they're both level enough and comfortable enough in themselves to just. I think that'd be a really interesting conversation.
They're not tied in, are they?
No. Well, Chael kind of does whatever he wants. He's carved out a very interesting little niche for himself.
Well, he did that well because he went from the UFC being one of the biggest draws after being really a no mark.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, impressive.
Well, I mean, he
had wins.
He was like, what was the thing that was always surprising about Chael is that he was always a tough fight for everybody in the division. He was always a contender, but he
didn't make any noise.
He didn't make any noise.
No.
And then as soon as he started making some noise,
incredible.
It was brilliant.
I think I watched every
video. He is
video.
the champion, but I am the best. It's one of the best lines that's ever been said, in my opinion.
But even on the mic, Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. And obviously the story of him with his wheelbarrow and moving rocks and all the rest of it, and that brought you to him to think he just wants to make his dad proud.
Yeah.
So this whole charade is to make his dad proud, which is kind of heartwarming. And obviously all the struggles that he's been through, he's aired them all. He's voiced everything. Obviously, he's lost a child, which I don't ever care to comprehend. It's heartbreaking. I don't care to comprehend. I don't ever want to comprehend. But he's been through all this, and he's shared it. So all the other shit he's saying is pretty close.
Yeah.
So when he literally shot that double leg on Anderson and dominated him for 22 minutes, 23 minutes. He backed everything up. He didn't need the win.
Yeah, I still feel weird about that fight.
No, because he popped, didn't he? He popped.
Yeah,
was it 2 months afterwards?
I know. I don't know. There's something fucking odd around that fight. I don't really talk about it much because people will be upset about it. But there were just a few things that were said in the build up to the fight. It makes me feel like the intention was the rematch, not the first fight.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe.
Know, they filmed a documentary with Anderson Silva in the lead up to that fight, and Anderson is one of my favorite martial artists of all time. You know, that has to go. You know, first and foremost. But I can't remember what the documentary was called. It was something about Spider something.
The Anderson Silva one.
Yeah, but it wasn't the more recent one. It was one that they filmed in the build up to that first fight against Chael, and he said he was going to triangle him. And Anderson's not. I mean, he's not much off his back. You know, the last time he was on his back that I remember, he was up kicking Yushin Okami and Rumble on the Rock and getting disqualified.
Yeah.
You know, he's not much for fighting off his back. And it was just such a, I don't know. It was such
too many things fit too many
prediction
places
to make, and then Chael being able to play on it so well and having so many lines ready to go. And I don't know. I hate to think it, but I've kind of distanced myself from that fight a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose because. Not being an analyst, I mean, I'm obsessed and I'm an addict, and this is my entire everything. Like the fight world of MMA has been something that's consumed me forever. So it never, because I took it for what it was at the time, because it was quite a while ago as well now, it was more for me the emergence of Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
And for what came out to what went in, and like you say, he was a tough guy. He beat some big names. He got there and he only just started making a noise. So I kind of can't help but love him. I mean, especially after this Christmas when he beat 5 guys up because one of them had a word with this message.
Yeah.
Nailed five dudes in one night. Amazing. So when he got released, wasn't it under like bad time? Like he basically got signed, or they got offered to sign with the UFC, decent contract, and he was like, now I'm going Bellator.
Yeah.
Bounced, went to Bellator, and then was it the ESPN thing that pulled him back in? It must be the worst thing though when Dana's like, right, when he got a meeting with the ESPN, and Chael sat there like, all right, mate.
Yeah.
All good?
Dustin Poirier went from being a very angry, emotional fighter, everything's about fighting, to being, no, this is a business.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing for a job. This is how I make money. I'm going to be a lot smarter.
Yeah.
And even though his fights were still kind of wild, you could tell that
they weren't the same knockout.
Same with
drag
Justin
them out.
Gaethje, right?
Yeah.
After he suffered those 2 losses, he was like, okay, hang on a minute, let me reassess here.
Yeah.
I feel that Chael Sonnen went through that process,
Yes.
and it might have been before he fought Anderson Silva.
Okay.
Like, I feel like he's watched the sport, and he's had his ups and downs, and he's struggled, and he's fought hard for what he got, and he realised that he may have invested a lot of time in something that wasn't going to get him where he wanted to be. So then he had this kind of gut check realization where he's like, okay, motherfuckers, all right, I'll play this as a game then.
You want this.
Yeah.